Hello, I'm Hugh, and today I'm going to show you how to build the no glue quick build glider. Okay, there's only two parts to this stunt plane: a fuselage and a wing. Various things you'll need: a weight, plasticine, blue tack. Could be either. There's instructions, so it's simple to do. You're going to use gum tape to join things together. But most of it clips together, and in order for the gum tape to work, you're going to need a tray with a sponge or a cloth which is slightly wet. So the two parts are going to fit together. You can see that the wing wants to slot in there, but I can't get it to fit because it's too big. It's too big because we need to curve it. In order to curve it, we're going to have to distress it. It's quite stiff at the minute. You could bend it, but a blunt pencil that will score the lines in. Trick with this is not to do that. No, you're holding it like a blade, and the blunter the pencil, the better. So once that surface is scored in every groove, it's a bendy piece of card, and it will fit comfortably into the fuselage. It pops in. The plane isn't going to fly like this because it's not balanced, and if we look, we're trying to get a balance somewhere with the wings, so it's very tail heavy at the minute, so we'd obviously be putting a weight in there. So an option for balancing the airframe and the aircraft is take the wing out and put a hole in here. Now that hole is obviously in the middle of the wing that way, and it is 50 millimeters back from the leading edge. So it's in front of the middle of the wing that way, but it's on the middle of the wing that way. If you put that back in there with something to balance it, you will have a very good balance point. So threading that through there, tie a knot in the string, put the wing back in, and we can see how the plane balances. Don't worry about it not all pushing together at the minute because you're going to sort that out later. But we can see it's incredibly tail heavy, and we want to put a weight in there until it's balanced. Okay, when you're happy with the balance, you're going to take this string away and you're going to put the wing back in, and what you're concerned about now is bonding this fuselage so that the weight, the plasticine, so that stays in place. In order to hold the plane together, you're using the same materials that the plane's made out of. It's paper, but this bit of paper has some gum on it. So I'm going to hold that together. I'm going to cut a piece of tape that would do the job for me. And what I'm trying to do is just pull that in so that the plasticine stays in place. In order to get this to work, I need a damp sponge. You don't want a soaking wet sponge, you just want it damp. And you can see the gum is glistening wet, and I'm going to strap this in and around here. Another piece, go in the other direction perhaps. You can interpret how you put this together yourself, but you're trying to narrow the fuselage slightly, and you're trying to build a nice strong nose cone for the aeroplane. This is a bit loose here, we could look at that later, but really this plane is now ready to fly. So it didn't fly that well, but let's have a look at this tail here. The tail wasn't out, so if we fold the tail down, let's go and see how it flies now. Yeah, so much happier with how that was flying, but it's still not doing what I want it to do. I'm not really in control. So I need to have a tail fin. That's the tail fin there. How will I hold that together? let's start by using some of the tape again. We don't want too much because we're going to start changing the balance of the aeroplane. So I'm going to pull it together on the back here. So now you might have to measure where to cut some of this, but we're bonding that tail together with the tape. Okay, so if we were to flatten this tail out, would it fly better? It's kind of increasing the area of the tail, so it might give it more lift. We might have to adjust things on there. So if we look here, we've got these two holes, and if we were to thread a stick through both of those holes, we could bring the wing down. But let's just cut some tape and see if we can get it to stay in place. So, holding it there, that tail is now set in place. Now, it's not quite dry, but we can snip it off with our scissors, and let's go and see how it flies. Right, so that flew. We did have, it was stalling a lot, but maybe I could take that stall out by bending on these folds here. These folds are already creased in, so they must be for a reason. Would that give it less lift? This is elevation here, so I can give it up elevation, I can give it down elevation. So let's experiment with that. Thing is, it's not flying as smoothly and as nicely as I'd like. So, you know, can I check the balance? And it's easy enough. I know whether so if I check the balance, it's still well balanced. But could I stop some of the air flowing all through here and getting trapped in there if we were to go further with this? And now I've sealed in the fuselage with the tape. Don't want to use a lot of tape. Something else that's happened on this plane is I've twisted the tail fin, giving me a rudder. Okay, let's see how this one flies. You've got lots of things you can adjust and change on this aeroplane. Here, I've given it something that's called a dihedral. Does it help? Does it improve? What would it do? Here, I've twisted the fin, giving it a rudder. What would that do? Does it make it turn? Does it not? Here, I've got flaps which will give me elevation. I could have one flap up, one flap down. I've got little flaps on here as well. Do they make any difference? I've also crimped in the very front of the wing. Does that improve its aerodynamic qualities? What would happen if I put one piece of tape across here so there was a flat bottom to this wing? What would happen if the wing scored on the top, not the bottom? How does the plane vary with every single thing I do? So it's not a case of just chucking it and seeing what happens. It's a case of chucking it and seeing if you can engineer an improvement. When you first throw it, it might not fly at all, but with your efforts you will get it to do what you want it to do. This plane will loop the loop. This plane will fly straight and flat and sweet. Have fun. Go build.